السلام عليكم. جماعة إذا بالإنجليزية أو بالدنيا هيك عندك ناكل جرمنا وعندك بودنيتي نجان بجد بالإنجليزية أو the American بحثي أبيكن. Welcome guys. Let's talk about this testing pump, how to inspect it, how to function test it, check for leaks, and how to actually take samples using this pump and these tubes. Number one, you have to check it for any visible damage. If there are no visible damages, good. Now, before you take any measurements, you have to make sure that this one is leak free. You check for leaks. So take one of the tubes. It's not broken from this side and it's not broken from this side either. Just put it in here and make sure it is snug, so it's really in there. Bring this 100 to this dot. You see, 100 to this dot. Make sure that they're aligned together, and then pull all the way back. Once you pull, you have to wait for 2 minutes. 2 minutes, you have to wait, and then rotate this a little bit to the right. Rotate the shaft to the right. Just keep your hands, on this one because it's gonna spring back really fast. So keep your hand on it to make sure that it doesn't fall from your hands. So here we go. It pulled itself back. I know now there are no leaks because you can see the distance from this line, the red line here, the distance of the red line to the back of this here, it's less than 3 millimeters. If it was more, let's say if it was like that, then there would be leaks. Let's see what happens if you rotate it this way. If you rotate it this way, it's not going to go all the way back. It's going to stop here. So make sure you rotate it that way. Okay? One more time. You bring an unbroken tube and you insert it in here. Make sure the line and the 100 and the dot are aligned. You pull one full stroke and you wait 2 minutes. After 2 minutes have passed, you rotate it this way. And now there are no leaks. Okay? Let's see how we take samples using this pump. Now, each tube is different. Each tube requires different timing and different number of strokes. For example, we have here, this one is H2S from 0 to 150 ppm. We have this one is from 0.2 to 4%. 0.2 to 4%. All the information you need regarding sampling is here. But let me explain a few things for you. Now, it says here number of pump strokes 1. For this one, the one I am holding in my hand here is from this box. It's from this box here, and it says number of pump strokes 1. Now, what is the difference between 1 or more? I'll tell you. Before you take the sample though, you have to break the tip. You have to break the tip of this side and this side. So you put the tube in here, you put it here, and you pull it to your side. Pull it to your side, it's gonna break this side. And then to this side, it's gonna break it too. So do the same. The tip will stay in here, all right? Okay, now how do I put it in here? There is an arrow, there's a black arrow right here, okay? Make sure this arrow is on the outside and it's pointing at the pump. So insert it here, make sure the arrow is facing this direction, coming to you, all right? Also, another way to know is the small number is on top, and the big number is in the bottom. It says on the box, the number of strokes is 1. So back to this here. This here says number 1. So keep it on number 1. You can change this, by the way. You can change it to other numbers. but let's leave it at number 1. Make sure the 100 and this dot are lined up together. They're lined up together, and then you pull one full stroke and you keep the pump in the place where you're taking the sample. For example, if you're taking it from a can or a valve or somewhere, or a tank or somewhere, just leave it there. And of course you have to be protected by SCBA. Don't ever take any samples without SCBA. Now, how long do I have to wait until the sample is finished? This pump here has its own measurement, but let's follow the one on the box. The box here says sample volume 100, sample time is 2 minutes. Okay, so your hand must be in that place for 2 minutes, and it's good practice to actually have this one like this in your hand when you're taking the sample, so if your hand gets tired or something, it doesn't fall into the tank or anywhere. Okay, so once the sampling is done, you take the tube out, you take it out, and you look at the information on the box. Okay, here it says color is white to light brown. You see the color here? It's white, right? It's white. If you have any H2S, the color will change from white to light brown. Okay, now this concentration is from 20 ppm to 500 ppm. 20 ppm to 500 ppm. But if we take another tube, this one here is from 0.2% to 4%. The color will change from white to dark brown. White to dark brown. Now, sometimes the valve itself, let's say this is the valve, okay? Now, this is not the pump. Let's assume this is the valve. Sometimes the sample says, okay, from here to here, let's say 2%. Just an example. 2% H2S. Okay, it's not always clean cut like this. Sometimes the sample is like this, so it will be like this, or it will be like this. Okay, so it's not always going to tell you the accurate number. Okay, sometimes the line will be like this, light brown or dark brown or whatever color it says on the box. Now what you have to do is take the half. Okay, you take the half. For example, if this is the sampling tube, if it's until here it says 200 ppm, good, 200 ppm, 500 ppm, 2%, whatever it says. But sometimes when it's like this, the reading is like this. What you have to do is this incline here, this line, you have to cut it by half. Okay? If it's like that, you cut it by half and you take the reading that's here. Now, how accurate is this? How accurate is it? It is plus minus 25%. Okay? Plus minus 25%. That's how accurate this pump is. Okay? So when it says 100 ppm, maybe it's 125, and maybe it's 75 ppm, and so on. This is it regarding the tube. But let's say it says you have to take, two strokes. What do? We can change this one to number 2. This one, we change it to number 2 and pull one stroke, or we leave it on 1. We take 1 and then we push it back, and then we take another sample also on full stroke. Okay, now I've taken two pump strokes. What if it says only half stroke? If it's only half a stroke, you leave it on 1. This one, you leave it on 1, and you turn the handle to 50 like this. You put the tube in, it's broken and everything. You put it there and you pull. You see? This is half stroke, it stopped. Why? Because I turned it to 150. Excuse me, I turned it to 50, which is half a stroke. Okay, what if it says 2.5? If it says 2.5, leave it on 1, bring it on 100, 1 sample, 2, then you turn it to 50 and you pull. This is 2.5 strokes. If it's 1.5, you leave it on 1, you bring it on 100, you pull one full stroke, you push back, turn it to 50, and then you pull. Okay? Now make sure when you're pulling the stroke, the tube is actually in the place where you want to take the sample. It's not in the air like I'm doing now. I'm only showing you so you can see the numbers and the number of strokes. Okay? This is all I can think of really. If you have any questions or anything, just message me in the group and let's see what we can learn together. Thanks guys.